And now we're in a state of decision making as to what's the next step. And it's this dopamine hit that begins to happen on a regular basis as to, oh my gosh, I'm getting my financial goals. I see financial freedom in the future, and it's just happening by default. And I will have people that after they've worked with it for a bit, I'll get a phone call and they're like, so how can we dial this back a little bit? What do you mean dial it back? We're spending too much money.
Because now they're consciously aware of it.
Now they're aware of it, yes. And they're not sucking the fun out of their lives. They're just realizing where they were wasting money that didn't bring any fulfillment or joy into their life.
Hey guys, this is Wes Israelson with Give a Sit Podcast. We're out here on the golf course, and honestly, I got to meet Brad last week, which is kind of crazy. But we got to talk a little bit about it, and as an owner of a company, I freaking love trying to help our team, trying to help my family, trying to help other people with literacy in finance, let alone how to save money, how to plan ahead. Yet all we ever hear is, I can't even afford to save $50 a month,
right?
Which is crazy. Anyway, but before we get into all of the stuff that you do for people, I want to go back to something that happened a long time ago. Your grandpa basically left Canada, right?
Yeah.
And ended up in Utah.
He did not like his father. They did not get along. And when he was 15 years old, he ran away and came down to the States.
15, he came
15.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
And that was a long time ago.
That was a really long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that was over 100 years ago.
Oh my gosh, to think about what that looks like and what, that's crazy. Just crazy. So with that, something that kind of came uniquely funny out of that is Heber, Hickens. Your mom's last name was Hicken, sounds like?
My grandma's last name.
Yeah,
okay. Grandma's last name is Hicken.
And oddly enough, a great friend of ours, the Hickens, Claude, June, Gavin, Preston, Addison, all of the family are great family friends of ours. Claude died around a year or two after my dad had died. So Gavin, Derek, and I, anyway, we kind of bonded over losing our fathers. But you grew up hard. You were throwing hay at a young age. You were...
So not quite like my dad.
Okay.
I grew up in Cottonwood Heights, but I love Heber. I love the small town, the mountains and everything. And so, did throw hay as a kid. Hauling hay is horrible. It is people think, oh, that's a stinky job. Dry hay, it's like horrible, and it sticks to everything. And as your
let alone cuts your skin.
It does cut your skin, and your knee is banged up at the end of the day from kicking it up, and you got to have your leather gloves on, but you're getting hay dust everywhere, and it's just awful.
I remember, I didn't do it a whole lot, but I remember putting the truck in 4-low and just opening the door, jumping out, and letting it just cruise down the field as you throw it up on the trailer. There'd be stackers, there'd be throwers.
Yeah.
But so your grandpa lived in Heber, grew up in Heber.
I actually don't know exactly where he grew up. I know that he met Grandma up in Heber.
Okay.
And then they got married. She was a school teacher up there. He worked on various projects like Hoover Dam. He was in the silver mines in Park City. So when my dad was 8 years old, he would take my dad to the mines, and my dad would cap and fuse the dynamite for the miners to use in their blasting. And every now and then, my dad may or may not have brought home a stick of dynamite with some caps and fuses. They call it quarter sticking. They'd get the pruning shears out, cut it into quarter sticks, go down to the Provo River and just toss it into one of the holes, stand at the bottom and pick up all the fish as they'd come through. So that was kind of my dad's childhood growing up, things that he did. So the things that I did were quite mild in comparison, but freaked out all the other neighbors.
Really? So, I mean, growing up in Cumberland Heights, and then kind of fast forwarding to, you went on a mission.
Yep.
What lessons do you still use today? And have you taught other people about just what you learned those 2 years on that mission?
That you just keep going on things. Like, you can have the worst day ever, but tomorrow could be your best day. You know, it's because that mission, it's a grind. It's the hardest, best work you'll ever do. And you may have a companion that you're stuck with for a month and a half, 2 months, that you really don't get along with. But you still have to get stuff done. So you got to figure out, how do I work with this companion that I really don't like, because what we're doing is more important. I talk to my kids about that all the time. You know, as kids at school, they're like, oh, I don't like him. Well, it doesn't matter you don't like him. What's the ultimate goal? What are you trying to accomplish? Stay focused on that. And then figure out the relationship part. And then, you know, you'll have days on the mission. I mean, there were days that were just awful.
Yeah.
And I was in one of the areas I was in, it was like Death Valley. But 95% humidity. Oh, it was brutal. I used to drink IV solution because you had to keep the electrolytes in. And so, you know, the heat, you take the heat and the humidity on top of some of those things. And there are days that you just want to throw your hands in the air and say, I'm done. I've had it. When you just got to come back the next day and hit it again. And as you do that, things happen. You just show up.
Yeah.
Every single day. Just show up. And if you grind and show up, the tide will turn, no matter what's going on.
Yeah. After your mission, what transpired after that? How long before you got to, how long was it after your mission that you met Angela?
So, let's see here. That was about 3.5 years afterward. When I got back, my mom had me enrolled in college before I even stepped off the plane.
Great job, Mom.
Right? So my dad's side of the family and my mom's side of the family, they could not have been bigger polar opposites. My grandpa Alexander was a scientist, an alchemist. And so there's some really cool things that he did that you don't see as part of family legacy, because he was working for Fan Steel or the government or DuPont when he did it. He was part of the Manhattan Project. He built the detonator on the atom bomb.
Wow.
Yeah, he watched the testing of these nuclear weapons.
Wow.
The heat protective nose on the space shuttle was his creation. Tungsten carbide was his creation. And so you have extremely educated, and then you have my other grandpa that was a miner. And it was an interesting dichotomy. And, you know, my mom, she really wanted me to finish college, and she really wanted that 9 to 5, that desk job. And that just was not my personality at all. You know, I'm in college, and I have a professor that's like, just think, when you graduate, you'll get a starting position of $25,000 a year. Seriously? I had just flipped a house working with a mentor and made 20 in 3 months.
Your starting wage for a year annually would be
is going to be 25, and it's going to take me 5 or 6 years to get there. And so that was kind of the end of college for me. And I had already started. So Robert Hicken, he has one of the largest stone companies in the country. He's huge. That's where, when they built the conference center, all of that rock was cut up in Heber.
Oh wow!
So they would mine it out of Little Cottonwood Canyon, truck it up to Robert's shop. He cut it all, and that's where all that came from. And I loved laying rock. I liked the physicalness of it. I liked watching what you were creating and everything. So that's what I was doing when I met my wife. And, we go to dinner. Well, first I go to pick her up. And,
yeah, I was going to say, no, go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
You're good.
I want to hear the story. I want to hear the story. So we're good.
So I go pick her up, and apparently you're not supposed to wear shorts after a certain time in the fall. But they were really the nicest clothes that I had at the time. They didn't have concrete and stuff on them. And so I show up, she looks at me, she's like, "What are you wearing?" "Clothes?" Like, "It's October." "And?"
Yeah.
Like, "You don't wear shorts in October." I'm like, "It's 65 degrees out. We're totally good with."
Yeah.
So we went shopping before we went to dinner, and got a new pair of Levi's that were not only new, but they were in style, socially acceptable. So then we go to dinner, and we're talking. She's like, "So what do you do for a living?" I'm like, "I'm doing stonemasonry." She's like, "Oh, I don't want to marry a stonemason." I'm like, "Great, I don't want to buy dessert." And she's going to tell you a story. I'm like, "Yeah, you go nuts." Then she started talking about her mom's side of the family and her dad's side of the family. And I started looking at that thinking, dang it, that's actually what I would want for my family. The flexibility of things, everything that came along with that. And so that was that was the last day I actually laid rock. Going back on it, I've been looking at everything. It was like, I had no backup, and I couldn't stand this girl that I'm on a date with.
Do we need to edit that?
Oh no, she's like fully aware of everything that she knows, all of this.
That's funny.
It's one of those things that 100% aware of. We tell the story all the time, and so, I didn't know what I was doing next. I just quit. And there was another girl in the singles ward that she was the assistant to Stephen Covey.
That's what I was going to lean into.
No, she's aware of that too. 100%. She knows the whole story. She knows that, because I didn't talk to anybody for a few months when I started going to the singles ward. I just knew that I had to break out of where I was at, because there's no way I was ever going to meet anybody to date if I didn't. And so I sat in the back and I just kind of watched the singles ward and who was there for a couple of months. And I was looking for who were the ringleaders, who were the girls that had it together, that had drive, that were athletic, that were, that had what I wanted in my best friend, my wife, a mother to our children. And so there were really two girls there that they were the drivers. And Angela was one of them. The girl that was Covey's assistant was the other one. And so I called her the next day. Well, I guess it was Monday, because it was Saturday night when we went on the date. And Monday I gave her a call and was like, "Hey, are they hiring at Franklin Covey? And she says, well, Covey proper, no, but in the coaching department, they are. And she put in a good word, and I started
Coaching.
selling
Selling coaching.
the coaching for Carlton Sheets, and there was Bill Bronchek, there was Ron LeGrand, the big players 25 years ago. And then there was a new guy that came on the scene named Robert Kiyosaki that just exploded with the Rich Dad Poor Dad stuff. And so I was going through all of his stuff, and it just really resonated with me. And after I'd been with the company about 3 years, I decided I've had enough, go home. I'm like, hey, I'm sick of it. She's like, then quit. I'm like, all right. So I quit. And I was going to continue to do what I was doing with the real estate and a couple of other things. And I go through the exit interview, and as I'm going through, the girl who was doing the exit interview, she's asking me what it was I was going to be doing. She's like, we need a Rich Dad coach. I'm like, great. If I know of anybody that fits what you're looking for, I'll let you know. And she's like, no, we want you. Like, this is an exit interview. I just quit, remember? I'm out the door. And she was relentless. And so next thing I know, like, the director of coaching is in her office, and one of the managers is in the office with them, and they're talking to me about the whole thing and putting the full court press on. And I was like, I guess let me talk to my wife about it. And so I come home, and she's like, well, how did it go? Like, they offered me a position coaching the Rich Dad stuff. She's like, what'd you tell them? So I told them that I need to talk to you first. And she's like, we spoke. When do you start?
Just want to recap that. We spoke. When do you start?
Yeah. That was, you'll find the theme of my life. You know, I put my foot down, and I'm like, hard, no, I'm not doing it. And we know who's in charge.
That is awesome.
So, yeah, I spent 10 years total with the organization, an incredible 10 years. I learned a ton.
So
it was cool.
Just before we jump through that, just because, I mean, there's the Covey program, then there's all the other stuff that comes along with that, right?
Yeah.
And then Robert Kiyosaki and everything that he teaches, everything that he's taught, all the stuff. I mean, even Rich Dad Poor Dad, right? Like, everything is pretty amazing. What were 3 key takes that you would tell a business owner listening today that they should, out of that 10-year span, like, what would you tell someone, whether they're starting today or they own a company?
Okay. The first one is it's not about how much you make, it is about how much you keep.
Okay.
And you know, a lot of, and it took me a while to really kind of chew through it with life experiences. You know, you know how much he's fond of income taxes.
Yeah.
You know, so being young at the time, and I'm looking at him like, okay, you need as many tax advantages as possible. And that's the beauty of having a business and those entities, is you get to make money, spend money, and then pay taxes on what's left over. And while that is a part of what he was talking about, it's not about how much you make, it's how much you keep. It comes back to his principle of pay yourself first. No matter what's going on, you always pay yourself first. And that was one of those things that I was really young when I started coaching, and I needed some more life experiences. But as I've been working with my individual clients over the last 14 years, it became more and more, my understanding of it became so much deeper, because I'd have clients come in and they make $500,000 a year and they can't save $100 a month. Like, you spend what you make. And
what's the law? I mean, trying to think. There's whether it's time or money, right? You assume you have 8 hours to do the thing. It's going to take you all 8 hours to do it.
Right.
If you assume that you have all this whatever the money and you can't save, then I mean, it doesn't matter, right?
Right.
So
Right. I tell people I'm on a seafood diet. I see food, I'm going to eat it.
Yeah.
My wife is like, you just said 20 minutes ago you were like, you couldn't eat anything more. I'm like, I know, I'm so full. Why are you still eating? Because there's food in front of me.
Yeah.
And money comes into our checking accounts. And because we see it in our checking account, that checking account's a spending account. We just spend it.
Yeah.
And I had some clients that did a better job of it, rich dad clients that were better at paying themselves first, and they'd set 10% aside to pay themselves first. And that really, that's your investment money. That's your growth money. But there was nothing automated like what we have now. So that is a big thing. Is it's not about how much you make; it's about how much you keep.
Okay.
The other key aspect is your team is critical. Who you are hanging around is so important. That would be number 2, and number 3 is, and now I just drew a blank.
That's okay. So, but back to your team, like,
Yeah.
Is that almost like the rule of thumb that the 5 people you hang around with most is who your income bracket manages closest
Who
with?
you become.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
But not just that. Like, that's where your mentors come from. That's where. I was just having a conversation with a client the other day that she has a really hard time with some of these things, because she's in the mastermind group that I'm in, and she was talking about how she has a really hard time finding good mentors. She goes, I love our group, but it's all men. I don't have a female mentor. And not that men mentors are better, it's just,
Yeah.
I keep running into wife problems with it because they're spending time teaching and helping me, and it just kind of creates problems. And I thought, wow, that's something I hadn't ever really thought about before.
Yeah.
Because it was just like, why not? I mean, I have an extremely high drive wife, and it doesn't matter. Like, she has her mind set. Either help
We
her
talked.
or get out of the way, or you're going to get run over. And that's what I love about her. And that's part of what drew me to her. And so that was really interesting. And so he always talked about professionals have coaches, whether you're a professional business owner, whether you're a professional athlete, whether you're a professionals have coaches.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite quotes, it was from Michael Jordan, that I picked up during that period of time, is the importance of having a coach is they're on the sidelines looking in while you're in the heat of the battle. And you can't always see the full court when you're in the battle. And that's where that team comes in. And them being able to sit on the outside and say, hey, have you noticed this going on over here, this over there? And being able to piece everything together for you as you're out in the game of business, investing, sports, whatever it is.
We jumped ahead, and I want to just catch this because I think it's going to be good and relevant. Cancun.
Uh-huh.
Not your anniversary.
That was our honeymoon.
Yes, your honeymoon.
You want the rest of the story of us dating?
Well, I want a little bit of that, and then I want what you said in Cancun to come out, just so people get to understand who Angela is too, and,
okay,
and the things that come out of your mouth.
Sometimes I'm just as surprised as everybody else. So when we first started dating, she invited me to a Halloween party. This was before we even went on the first date. I thought she invited me to the Halloween party because she had interest in me. That was not the case. She needed more guys at the party. so I got invited. So I go thinking that, she's who I was invited for. And so I'm talking to her, not that there just needed to be more guys and I could have been out flirting with her friend. But then one of her roommates asked, was like, well, who's that? And she immediately was like, he's with me. And
That is awesome.
so
You guys can't see this, but Garrett literally just drove an OB almost across the tee box. So I love you, Garrett. Great job.
That's awesome. So, which she, looking back, she's like, I have no idea why I reacted that way because there was nothing there at that point. The first date was kind of indicative of the first 6 months. Like, we drove each other crazy. Just always, like, we spent 6 months trying to break up with each other and failed miserably in doing so.
And there was this walk from the Olympic rings.
Yes. And so before I tell you the Olympic ring story, there's like, she never dated anybody longer than 3 months. Like, at 3 months, if it was, she didn't see it going anywhere, done, she's out. She'd break up with them. And I'd been trying to break up with her for several months, failing miserably in doing so. And her family is just like mercilessly, are you worried she's going to break up with you? Are you worried she's I'm like, no, I'm not. I didn't say to them, I'm waiting, but it's not happening. So, her whole family's thinking she's going to break up with me at any point. I'm waiting for her to break up with me so that I can then be brokenhearted and go ask her friend out. And
that wasn't the Covey girl.
Yeah, it was. So we're hiking down from the rings. And the Olympic rings, 2002, Saturday before closing ceremonies. We're hiking down, and she says, I've just kind of had a feeling like you've been waiting for me to break up with you. Finally. Yeah, I was wondering when that was coming. She goes, well, actually, I think I've fallen in love with you. Shit. I like her. She's mean to me, And I'm like, are you kidding? Fortunately, this was one of the very few times in my life that my brain functioned before my mouth did. And so that fortunately did not come out. Although I'm not sure that it would have phased her. And I'm just thinking, I'm like, oh, crap. What do I do? And there was a girl that I had been dating before her. She had a troubled youth program here in Utah County. And I mean, she nailed my personality so quick. We'd been dating for a few weeks and she like rattles off my personality. It was terrifying. And we were still friends. We would chat now and then. And so I get home, I send her an email. I'm like, help. This is what just happened. How do I break up with her? Because there was a girl that I'd been dating before that I really thought I wanted to marry and I was not supposed to marry. And I'm like, here we go, 2.0. Like, this sucks. And I get an email back from her, not with a set of instructions as to what I should do, but just a list of questions. I answer all the questions, I send them back. She sends me more questions. And I answer them, I send them back. And I'm thinking that, she's building a plan for me. She's helping me out. She goes, what if you were being a jerk? What would she do? I'd say, she'd tell me. She'd be like, you're being an ass, knock it off. The response, she's perfect for you. Close your eyes, open your heart, and watch what happens. I'm like, you traitor. I'm like, I can't.
So we traitor. Your friend,
yes,
is now in your mind. You traitor.
She totally takes Angela's side in this. fortunately. And so there was a couple of weeks, more than a couple of weeks, and I had noticed that Angela had started being nicer to me before she told me that she was falling in love with me. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is not what I wanted, which was really funny. Like, neither of us were what either of us wanted. So it was just kind of interesting how things kind of progressed. And backing up a little bit, before I met her, I was kind of just stagnant in life. I wasn't getting to where I knew I wanted to be. And I knew I needed to find my wife. I needed that catalyst. And so, one night I'm praying and I'm like, all right, just show her to me and I'll marry her. And I actually had a dream of Angela. I never saw her face, but I know what she looked like from behind. I knew, like, where the house that she was living, everything was right there. And so when I walk into the house the first time, it's like all there, and we drove each other nuts. I'm like, this can't be it.
Wrong house.
Wrong house, wrong blonde. But it really was. And the funny thing was, we drove each other absolutely crazy, but you couldn't separate us. We always just wanted to be with each other. So I'm kind of warming up to the whole idea, and I'm a little panicky about it because of my first experience with it. That, after I talked to the girl about it and I go home, I was physically ill. Like I almost threw up. And so I'm very cautiously stepping into this because I don't want 2.0. And she's like, well, after a while, like, well, why don't we pray about it? I'm like, all right. So she's like, how are you feeling? Well, I haven't had any bad feelings. Have you had any good ones? And I'm thinking, this is a win. I'm not having any bad ones. And so we get to the point, I'm like, you know what? I'm scared to death. I'm like, let's do it. Like, seriously? Let's do, like, that's your answer? Let's do it?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
That's Nike, yeah.
Right? Like, yeah, let's go for it.
That's funny.
That's how you're saying, let's get married. I'm like, yeah, I think so. Are we engaged? I think we're engaged.
You didn't say no.
Right? Like, you told me first. And so it was one of those things. I was just kind of moving along and going with everything, but everything was always so comfortable with her. Everything, it just fit. And so fast forward, Cancun, honeymoon, about 4 days in, sitting on my lap, about 15 stories up. We're just talking. I'm like, I think I really do love you. What?
4 days into being married.
You think you really love me? I'm like,
That's awesome.
yeah, like, no, I really think I love you. She's like, we're already married.
A little past that. It's a little past it.
We already passed the no return point. And yeah, like, it was one of those things. I almost got murdered on my honeymoon. But that's what this poor woman has been dealing with for almost 25 years now. My dad told her one time, he was like, there's a lot of girls that probably would have married him, but you're the only one that would have stayed married to him. That was when we were first early on married. She's like, I'm not sure how I feel about that. Yeah. Give it a few more years. You'll understand.
But I mean, after you said almost 20, it's been 24 years, right?
It'll be 24 years in July.
Yeah, July 11th or
17th.
17th. Gosh, I'm
Yeah.
wrong with the date. Damn it.
Yeah.
which is coming up, right?
It is.
Almost a month away now.
Yeah.
But obviously you do love her. You guys have kids together, and
Amazing person. I wouldn't be where I am today without her. I can't imagine life without her in it.
I truly believe that a husband or a wife, either one, is stronger when you have an amazing, supportive superhero as a spouse. So
I definitely got the superhero.
yeah,
Poor girl got screwed, but I got the jackpot.
I'm sure there's a cape back there somewhere. I mean, you did tell me that you married up,
I'm married
way over.
so far over my head, I'll never catch up.
Well,
Like I'm just chasing, trying to keep up with her, and at the end of the day, I'm gonna go pretty far because of it. So
are you saying that she's like Supergirl flying, and you're holding onto something just
pretty
flying?
much that sounds about right. Yeah.
Well, I'd love to meet you, Angela, and thank you, because your husband's pretty damn amazing too. So, but that catalyzed you from 10 years of the Covey, Robert Kiyosaki coaching, selling coaching, helping people, helping businesses, right? And into your wife came again and said, what?
I had everything mapped out after because it was about 2012, 2013-ish, as after the whole 2008, and they were starting to do some downsizing of the coaching department and the coaches, and I was at a point I needed the next thing, and there were some other things going on, and they came to me and asked, they're like, so where do you see yourself in 10 years from now? What do you mean by that? Do you see yourself here still? I'm like, no, I don't. What about 5 years? Probably not. What if we gave you a severance package? Go on, I'm listening. Why don't we pay you 4 months of severance, and you have several months of PTO that you haven't used? We'll just pay you out on that. And that helps us kind of right-size the coaching department. It's like, done, deal. And so I had my ideas as to what I was going to be doing, and I had things mapped out. And the morning after I'd separated from the organization, Angela comes up into my office and she's like, so what are you doing tomorrow? And I'm rattling off what I'm going to be doing. She's like, no. Are you meeting with anybody? Like, no, not tomorrow. She was great. You're going to go meet with my dad. Why? Well, you're going to start doing what my dad does. I'm like, we're already doing what your dad does. Like, that's all a part of everything that we're doing. She's like, no. You're going to start working with my dad. I'm like, no, I'm not. She was like, yeah, you are. You're going to start working. I'm like, no, I am not working with your dad, period. End of discussion. Still working with her dad.
Yep.
13 years later.
Put that foot down, huh?
Yep. Oh, I put it down. I showed her.
But it's truly amazing, right? I mean,
oh, it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been great. And people are like, how is it working with your father-in-law? I have an amazing father-in-law. Like, we have a great relationship, an incredible mentor. The guy is a walking encyclopedia when it comes to a lot of things financial. And so, it was a great move. So when I first started working with him, he was very much so infinite banking, Nelson Nash, and everything should move through a life insurance policy. And it's one of those things that I think the industry, when it comes to infinite banking, can go way too far to the right. It really is properly structured. Life insurance is a Swiss Army knife of a financial tool. It's utilized in so many different ways. Not just that this is where we hold money, and when we need to buy a car, we go to our own bank. But I've leveraged it for purchasing real estate. I've leveraged it for starting business. I've leveraged it. Like I use it. It's where I house money to go create cash flow with. And that is, that's really kind of, it's a tax shelter. It's a protected asset. There's so many things that go along with it, but it's not the end all be all. It's a Swiss Army knife tool. And that was because of coming from Rich Dad and the focus of, cash isn't king. Cash flow is king. Cash runs out, cash flow comes around next month and the following month and the month after that. And that is what allows, when you see people really scaling and taking off, it's not because of a home run and then 6 years later another home run. It's because it's that base hit with a little more cash flow and a little more cash flow and a little more cash flow, and it just compounds along the way. And so that was something that I was kind of caught between the two worlds, and over the years I've kind of grown into more of, so John Baker's my GA, that's what Fortress Wealth, and that, he looks at more of that.
Just so people know, what is the GA?
General agent. So in order for me to send business through or get things done, you've got to have a broker dealer, you've got to have a general agent, you've got to have some of these things in place. And that's really been the focus of Fortress Wealth, it's cash flow. Everything is geared around tax advantaged cash flow assets, because the cash flow will allow you to retire the way that you want to and never run out of money. The cash flow will allow you, when things go sideways, you still have money coming in. It takes pressure off of the paycheck. It's that second Swiss Army knife in everything that you're doing. And that really has kind of evolved over the years in kind of, my Rich Dad upbringing and the infinite banking, and has created a good marriage there.
Yeah. And then, we got to talk about it quite a bit, but the passion for what you do today is really helping people who think they can't.
Yeah.
Or think they can. You are right.
Right. And yeah, that really is.
And I want you to elaborate on how you help business owners, how you're helping people, and how you're helping people that live today and can't even, like we talked about it originally. They can't save $50 a month,
right?
Which isn't true.
It's not true, and it's become harder because organizations have become more skilled and better at separating us from our money.
How do you mean? Just so people understand that.
What I mean by that is, we have.
I'm gonna grab this ball real
All
fast.
Right. It used to
Pro
be.
V1.
There you go. Cell phones. Those became a necessity. You got to have your cell phone. Well, then it was a necessity to have a smartphone. And now that you have a smartphone, look at these great apps you can get. And, it's now critically important to have your Strava app and your, I just drew a blank on Audible. And I'm thinking about the apps that I've got on my phone. And all of these apps that we now have on our phone that we're paying, it's just a couple of dollars a month. So it's not a big deal. It's $5 here.
When Alex listens to this, she's going to say, that's me.
That's me. There's all of those things that the $5, the $3, the $10, they all add up. They compound on themselves. And then on your we cut the cable years ago. And then we bought Hulu and Netflix and Disney. And it's like, It's more than what we were paying for cable.
Yeah.
But hey, we cut the cord and we saved money on that one. Like what happened? I was looking at BMW the other day, and they're like, yeah, it has heated and cooled seats. But if you want them to work, there's a subscription. Are you freaking kidding me? Like, you want me to spend how much for the vehicle and then pay you to turn on my heated seats?
Wow.
But that's how, yeah, there's another guy named Brad that I know very well, and he no longer drives BMWs because of it. He was so upset, and the guy had any vehicle he had that had the BMW badge was an M badge. So it was the X6M, it was the M5, it was the...
So he went to, yeah.
Yeah, like he was, when they pulled that on him the last time he went and bought one, he turned around and walked out. He's like, turn it off or I'm out. And they're like, nope. He goes, okay, bye. His salesman lost quite a bit. He'd swap those cars every 2 years.
Yeah.
And he didn't have just one. So that's the society that we're in today, is everything is a subscription model. And it was really interesting. A good friend of mine who created a really small video game named Fortnite. Before that one, it was Infinity Blade. And he's the one who really kind of changed how all of that functioned. They learned with Infinity Blade that if you gave the game away for free, but then you sold them gold, or you gave a battle pass, or you did, $5 here, $3 there, he goes, all of a sudden, our revenue skyrocketed from how the old console game was. He goes, we learned we could get 10 times more out of parents by giving the game for free and then just doing all these little things along the way than if we sold the game for $100.
Yeah.
And that's when everything really began to make sense on all these things going on that separates us from our money. And we don't really think about it. Oh, here's a free trial. This is kind of cool. I'll try it. You used it for a month and you pay for it for the next 6 years.
Or something relative, because I just want to bring it up too, is we bought our daughter's a 3D printer. So they can start making things to sell to people, right?
Right.
And then you get all the free stuff, but then the nicer stuff,
You got to pay for it.
you have to pay for it.
Yes. Because it takes them like 2 hours to figure out they need that upgrade.
Yep.
Yep.
Anyway, I thought that, that's relevant. So that's good.
It's absolutely relevant. My son has been on me for about 2 years to get a 3D printer. I'm like, you can have a 3D printer. How are you going to pay for it?
Yeah.
But Dad, there's no buts.
Yeah.
You want the 3D printer, figure out how to buy it, go nuts.
Write me a business plan on what you're going to do with it too.
Right. Let's make this thing profitable. So that is one of those things that we don't think about it. There was a client that I met with a little while ago that, making great money, multiple 6 figures, and couldn't figure out how he was broke at the end of the month, every single month. And as we started talking about
And you
stuff,
said multiple 6 figures.
Yeah.
So that's well over 20 grand a month.
Yeah.
Just so we're clear.
monthly DoorDash. These were the fees. Not all the food he consumed.
Just the fee.
Fees. $1,500 a month.
Holy cow.
Well, what are you doing?
Wow. It's more than my vehicle payment.
Right?
Or 2 of them.
Like, that's a Porsche.
Yeah.
You're door dashing a Porsche every month. And it was one of those things, because the money was there, you just didn't think about it. I had one lady that was spending $25 a day on shakes, protein shakes. The crazy things that we find that just because the money just hits the account every single month, and so we don't think about it. It's unconscious consumption. Our single biggest enemy in getting to where we want to be financially is unconscious consumption. We see it, we spend it.
Yeah. And something you said that I just wanted to highlight again as we go through this is your checking account is not anything other than a spending account.
Correct. It is not a wealth creation account. It is not a savings. It's not an investment. It's a clearinghouse. It's money in a checking account is meant to be spent.
Yeah.
Mentally, emotionally, we understand that. The paycheck hits that checking account, it's gone. And if it's not gone, it's because you physically went in and moved money somewhere else to capture it. It's that it takes a lot of control. It takes time. It takes discipline. There's so much more that goes into it. And so we look at it, we're like, oh yeah, I need to do this. But what if I didn't? I could do X or Y. And that'd be a lot more fun than putting it in a savings account over here. And so we do it. And man, I'm good at that. I'm really good at that. Before we had kids, I look at how much money we spent and how much money we didn't capture, and it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Because two people should have been able to live on less than half of what we spent and lived very, very well at that. So
Garrett said something on the earlier podcast about how he helps people in third world countries around the world.
Yeah.
Anyway, and most Americans can truly afford to go without a paycheck for a month.
Right.
Most of us could, really. Although in our minds we're like, I can't. No, like you said, I can't.
I can't do that.
I can't even save $50 a month.
Right. Right.
And this 2-figure, or you said 2 6 figures, or multiple 6 figures, let's say, right?
Yeah.
Can't afford to put money away.
And it's because there's no structure.
Yeah.
Tell me, what courses did you take in school that taught you how to put a cash flow structure together?
I will say I did not go to college. I graduated office furniture ergonomics, because I went right into it at 17.
Okay.
But for me, if I were to tell you, we're trained, taught, and educated by our parents.
Yep.
Generally. And or the closest mentor or the 5 people we surround ourselves with.
Yep.
And if they don't teach you it, you will never learn it.
And what institutions put out financial education?
Very well. There's some, but how many of those put it out in a way that you actually understand?
Most of the financial education that we get outside of school, banking and financial industry, and the government.
Yeah.
How does the banking and financial industry make money?
With your money.
With your money. Separating you from your money. That's how they make money. So what are they going to teach you?
They're going to teach you how to make them money.
Pretty much. Yeah. My industry sucks. It does. Like, when you get into it, they don't teach you how to create a cash flow structure for a client. They don't teach you how to do. No, they teach you how to sell a product.
Yeah.
And look at all these features and benefits and blah, blah, blah. And at the end of the day, nothing moves the needle that they teach you in all of that.
Yeah. And I mean, even then, to the point of what we had talked about, and we'll get into it, is what's worse is we're making this no better. We're not changing the outcome.
Right.
Meaning, if we're not out here, we're on a golf course and there's kids over there, if we're not out here training them, teaching them how to do something, meaning that we didn't get schooled, we didn't go through it the right way, we didn't get educated to put this plan together.
Right.
We're not going to teach it.
We're going to teach what we have been taught and what we have been
what's
told
comfortable
is the best thing.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's one of the things that as I work with people and we put together this cash flow structure, it's uncomfortable to start with.
Yes.
But it's uncomfortable because it's unfamiliar. It's the exact opposite of everything that we've been told to do. But it was this tiny little shift. It's nothing that is major. It's just this tiny little shift, but it's an uncomfortable shift because it's an unfamiliar thing.
Yeah.
And so I asked people, what was something that you did in your lifetime that was hard or uncomfortable? And I let them explain it to me. And like, now today that you've been doing it, is it uncomfortable? Like, well, no, it's easy. Yeah. That's right. It took a little bit of uneasiness, a little bit of discomfort to do something new, and now all of a sudden you're proficient. And it takes about 3 weeks to get comfortable and be like, oh, my life isn't ending because we made this tiny little shift.
So with this structure of helping people understand their cash flow or their structure, right?
Yep.
We were talking about how hard it is. And I just want to bring this into relevance too, because for me, physical workout and taking care of my body, my dad died relatively young, so I'm going to use that term, but generally I want to make sure that my body is healthy.
Right.
And the only way to do that is to get to be what is called current reality. And it's painful.
Yep.
And when you say painful or struggle, people like, what's something hard you've done? I was 32% body fat, which is clinically obese in most terms.
Right.
And diabetic or on the
verge of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so past the fitness side, when people really don't actually visualize where they or conceptualize where they are financially and say, I can't save $50 a month. And you're like, let me just show you. Let me just show you.
And that's what we do. I take them through a cash flow exercise, and we identify what are all of the inflows, all the new money that comes into your world on a monthly basis. Where does it come from? When does it hit? How much is it? And we only deal with the after-tax dollars. And we get that number. We're like, okay, now in order for you to enjoy your life the way you do, how much do you need to spend every month in order to do that? And people go walking through that exercise, and at the end of it, and I will add stuff to it. I'll pad as we go. Because I'll ask them about subscriptions. I'll ask them about, what do you do for fun? What do you do? Because a lot of times people don't want to tell you about the fun because they're talking to a financial guy. and the financial guy is going to get after them. Bob, if you only golfed 3 times a week instead of 7.
Yeah.
No. If that is what keeps you sane and happy,
You
go
still
hit the golf course.
still have to do it.
You have to do it. Yes. Like, I'm not going to put you on a financial diet. We're just creating reality of things.
Yes.
And so, those are the things that people start to hide, and I'll ask questions, and they'll get sheepish about it sometimes. I'm like, no, is that a passion? Is that a love? Well, yes, it is. It was like when Angela got into pickleball, and I'd been bugging her forever. You have to find something to go do. And I want you to go do it many a times a week. Because, I love our kids, but you need a break from kids.
Yeah.
And, she's looking at stuff as to, but I feel guilty. I'm like,
Sorry, I don't mean
if
to
you
laugh.
don't spend the money on it, I'm going to.
Yeah.
Because you have to go do this. It's what you need. And we all need those things in our life. It doesn't matter what it is. So you got to bake it in. But when we get done with things and they're looking at it, I'm like, okay, so what it shows here are your inflows, here are your outflows, and it says there's $2,500 a month left over. Yeah. Great. Where are you saving that $2,500? I'm so mean when I ask that question because I already know. I'm not saving it anywhere. They just can't tell you where it went.
Sure, it's my checking.
None of us can tell you where it went. and that they're like,
My wife's going to love this, by the way.
They're looking at each other like, what did you do with it? Where did it go? But that's the unconscious consumption. It's, I don't want to cook tonight. Let's go to dinner. Hey, this sounds like fun. Let's go do it. Hey, this is, and at the end of the month, you can't even make it a month and give me an accounting where that excess went, let alone a year, 2 years, 5 years down the road. And that, we're just in a consumptive state constantly. And so what we talk about is to, okay, so here's the dates that the hard things have to come at, the mortgage, the car payments, the insurance, and blah, blah, blah. Here are those dates. Let's factor them in. What about the discretionary? We factor all those in. We're like, okay, so Bob and Mary, it looks like you need about $6,500 in your checking account on the 1st, and you need another $2,500 in the checking account on the 15th. Is that right? And they're like, yeah, okay. But now that's based on what you told me on the paper here. So we're going to fudge this a bit. How about we add an extra $700 on the 1st, extra $500 on the 15th? Oh, we're not going to need that. Okay. We can change it. Now, by default, what we just did, think about what we add another $700 in the front, we add another $500 in. Well, that's only $1,200, which means there's $1,300 that automatically gets captured that never hits their account. And at the end,
the spending account never hits the
spending. So we're going to reroute your money. I use a tool called currents, kind of like the current in a river, because your money flows like a river does. Oh. And that reservoir is your wealth coordination account. We're going to capture the excess in the wealth coordination account, that reservoir. The reservoir is pre-programmed, and it doesn't matter how many accounts you need to attach to it. If you have a charity account, a college account, a vacation account, I don't care if you got 100 additional places you're sending money, we're going to connect it all together. And then it's just going to happen by default. You don't even have to think about it. It just happens. It's kind of like when people put money in a 401k. Yeah. And I ask people this, how much money did you take out of your checking account to put in your 401k? And they're like, well, I didn't. Okay. You said you're putting 4% into your 401k because that's what they match. Yeah. All right. How badly did that hurt you when you never saw it?
Well, I don't know.
They're like, huh, I never saw that. Did you think about it? Did you feel? And they're like, no, I didn't. Well, that's what the reservoir is going to do. You're just never going to see it. It's in your reservoir. Yeah. And then they get a little panicky. Well, but what if I need it? Then you just log in and send it to your checking account. This is your account. You own it. You control it. You're in charge of the whole thing. It just didn't send it to your checking account. Oh. And you have to automate it. My clients that try to outsmart the system and
never do
be in control,
yeah.
They outsmart themselves back to the same problem that they were in when we started. My clients that automate it and then step back and just let it flow are crushing it because it's working just automatically every single month.
And I'm going to do two things. So first is, if you think about this in reverse, how many subscriptions do you have today that you do not use? How many? Because what he's saying is, we take that subscription model and put it towards your financial future. Basically, I mean, without a subscription, but to help you manage the things that you don't even know you spend money on.
And that's it. It's making your spending conscious, yep, and your savings unconscious, yep, instead of unconscious consumption and conscious saving and investing. Yeah. We flip the roles, and now it just happens by default. Your financial freedom is the default setting at that point. You have to opt out. You have to physically go in and say, I want to ruin my financial future, and upend everything and close it all out. Otherwise, it's just going to keep happening. And then we have conversations. Once we get everything set up, we've got it all automated and we're going, we have a calibration conversation every quarter.
Good.
And a lot of times they're quick 15 minutes. Hey, how you doing? Great. Anything new? No. Anything coming down the pipe? No. So we're set up the way you need to be. Yes. Okay. Bob, Mary, congratulations. That $50 that you couldn't save 6 months ago has now turned into $6,000. What would you like to do with it? You can spend it.
Yeah.
You can just continue to let the account build, or we can focus on acquiring a tax-advantaged cash flow asset. What would you like to do? And now we're in a state of decision making as to what's the next step. And it's this dopamine hit that begins to happen on a regular basis as to, oh my gosh, I'm getting my financial goals. I see financial freedom in the future, and it's just happening by default. And I will have people that after they've worked with it for a bit, I'll get a phone call and they're like, so how can we dial this back a little bit? What do you mean dial it back? We're spending too much money.
Because now they're consciously aware of it.
Now they're aware of it,
Yeah.
yes. And they're not sucking the fun out of their lives. They're just realizing where they were wasting money that didn't bring any fulfillment or joy into their life. And they're like, this is dumb. Why are we still wasting our money on this? We should just get rid of it.
So back to basically the financial structure side
Yeah.
of what this is.
Yep.
We had talked a little bit about the subscription model,
Yep.
but what that meant to me is on all my golf clubs up there. But I've got something called Arcos, which is basically a subscription,
Right.
and it tracks every time you hit the ball, your club's distance from the tee to the hole.
Right.
And my wife said to me last night, what are you doing? Like, you don't even golf that much. I'm like, you are right. You would be correct. So,
Right.
to say when people consciously spend money, meaning like you intentionally go buy a car, or you go buy a house, or you go do something, you're going to pay attention to what you're spending
Right.
or your interest rate. But when you're unconsciously buying money, it's just different.
It's not the big purchases that kill you. It's all of the little stuff that you're not aware of. You talk about the subscription for your golf club. We have 4 Strava accounts.
4 Strava accounts.
4 Strava accounts.
What is this? What is Strava?
So Strava is for cycling,
Okay.
and it tracks your rides and the elevation, the distance, the
Okay.
uh,
So similar to my Arcos thing. in a way.
yeah, similar to that. And the reason why we have so many Strava accounts is that's how I got the Strava account originally just to track my workouts. And I would, when I was on a road bike, I was 3 or 4 days a week. And it will tell you what your PRs are, and it'll rank you against everybody. And it's kind of addictive. Well, then when my wife got my oldest son into mountain biking, so 7th grade junior Devo, that feeds into the high school, then he had to have a Strava account.
And now, is it normal pedal bike,
And
or are
it's-
you on a?
no,
electric bike?
they're acoustic only. They do not let you. NICA riders are not allowed any assistance.
Okay.
And so that's, so he's now, he'll be a sophomore this year.
Okay.
On the mountain bike team. And now my twins are on the junior Devo. They're going into 7th grade. And so we were out in Eagle Mountain. I spent a lot of time in Eagle Mountain the first part of this week. Monday night was time trials for the high school team. So we started at 6, finished about 8 o'clock. Tuesday morning, I was back at Eagle Mountain
Oh, wow.
for junior Devo and running the course again. And now they all have their Strava accounts. So they can look at
Sorry.
what segment did they PR and where's this and where's that. And They can see all the kids on the team that have the Strava. And so it's one of those things that you have these subscriptions on that, that's a subscription that we use all the time. But there's other stuff that you don't use, but you don't remember it because it was just a couple of dollars. And one of the funny thing I did a couple of years ago, I went to the bank. I'm like, hey, I lost my credit card. Gonna get it replaced. Purposely shut everything off. And then going back through and looking at what was actually important. What did I actually, so I'm getting all these emails from places that I'm like, I haven't used that in 2 years.
Yeah.
But I was giving them $5 a month for 2 years and I wasn't even using it. And they're, all these little things that we don't recognize. It's not the big purchases that kill you. It's the little stuff that we don't realize that's going on. And so when you set that up, all of a sudden your bank account, like you might run out of money per se on that first go round, but what it's going to do is it's going to force you to go back and look at
what you're spending money on.
Yeah. Like what came out that I didn't remember I had to pay for. If you can't remember that you're paying for it, you probably haven't used it in a while.
Yeah.
You probably don't remember that you have it. And so this is where all of a sudden people start freeing up $400, $500, $600. I had one client we started with a little over a year ago, $60,000 a year.
Wow.
Just bam. Once everything was pointed out, we set everything up, $5,000 a month. And they were looking at it going, I can't believe that we just spent it. And, that's life-changing to them. It's life-changing to anybody.
Oh, yeah. That's someone making...
That's an annual income.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's someone's annual. That is what that is. That's crazy.
It's an annual income that they didn't even realize they were spending.
Yeah.
It's just gone. And they thought, in order to maintain their lifestyle and do everything that they love doing, that was needed. But after they made those adjustments and they looked at it, it was very obvious that, actually, I didn't need that.
So what is Next Steps program?
So Nest Steps, this is an
Did I say it wrong?
HR.
Nest?
But it's kind of supposed to be.
Okay.
Yeah, it's one of those plays on.
Like Give Us It, kind of a play
Yeah,
on
Give Us It.
Yeah.
I loved it. I'm looking at it, I'm like, dude, that is so cool. It's your nest, whether it's your nest egg, whether your house is your nest, whether it is, and it's the steps that play into all of those things. And so that's what it is it's Nest Steps.
That's great.
What ended up happening, this is about a year and a half ago, mastermind group that I'm in, one of the members, she owns a real estate brokerage. And she was like, so what's new? And I started talking about currents. She goes, oh my gosh, we've been looking for that. Like my husband has been wanting to do something in this realm. And she's talking about it. I'm like, yeah, that's really cool. Let's talk about it. And what we ended up putting together because of the SHRM data. So SHRM is like the HR Bible of things, something new that I learned. SHRM, yeah. And when we've been talking to business owners or the HR people, they're like, well, here's what SHRM says. We can make adjustments. They're like, nope. If SHRM said it, it is what it is. Great. So the data from SHRM tells us that 60% of employees are financially stressed out. And because of that, they're not focused at work.
Yeah.
And they're not engaged. And they're wasting time worrying about their financial woes. Half of those individuals are spending 3 or more hours per week on the clock, on the phone, trying to fix their financial problems. It also leads to a lot of churn, because if they're good at what they do, or even if they're okay at what they do, but somebody else lost that employee,
$50 or
yeah, they're like, hey, we'll pay you an extra $1 an hour. Sounds like $1 an hour raise. That's really good. It's $40 a week.
$2,000 a year.
That's not going to fix your financial woes, especially if you don't have any sort of structure or help to right that ship. one of the things we were talking about the other day, we hauled hay out of the same fields.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you've probably seen a tractor get stuck. You're like,
yes.
Yep.
I've gotten one stuck.
You've got one stuck. You get a tractor stuck in the mud.
Oh, man.
And once they're in the mud, they're not coming out of the mud. It doesn't matter how much gas you give it. It doesn't matter how you're working. It's in the mud, and it's going to take a couple of other tractors chained up to it to get it out of the mud. So in order to change where they are at, you've got to have some help getting out of the mud. And that's what I do with that first part of Nest Steps is we sit down and we're like, okay, here's, we go through the cash flow exercise and we start to educate and we put the tools in place. And the funny thing is, it's a lot of fun to spend money. It's fun. That's part of the problem, is it's fun to go blow it on whatever.
Yeah.
What was I saying? Oh yeah, so as we get that structure put together, they begin to realize that $1 an hour really didn't mean anything.
Yeah.
It was the structure that they needed. It was they built an intentional plan and goal, and they're seeing themselves actually achieving and accomplishing that goal. Then add to that, home ownership is an anchor in life.
Yeah.
It's
the single biggest purchase most people will ever make in their life.
Right. And it's a game changer because now you're a part of that community. You're a part of that school district. You're a part of the teams that your kids are in. You're a part of, and home ownership is critically important in strong communities. And so part of Nest Steps, and every company can work with it a little bit differently. We have some companies that are like, yeah, we'll throw in an extra $50 a month for when they purchase a house, it'll go towards closing costs or down payment. To another company that's looking at $250 to $300 a month. And ongoing after they own the home. So it's like that mortgage assistance is ongoing. Well, when the SHRM data shows that when employers put those initiatives out there, stress levels go down, financial wellness goes up, social, mental, and emotional well-being goes up, productivity goes up, loyalty goes up by 60%. And when you look at the cost of what it takes to implement Nest Steps to the rate of return, if you in one position, instead of turning that employee over 4 times or 3 times in 10 years, and you eliminate one of those turnovers, it's a 3-to-1 rate of return.
Yeah.
For every $1, you have improved your bottom line by 3.
And something that we had talked about too was you can't spend rate of return, right?
Right.
You cannot spend it.
Right.
And also, if I employ a $60,000 employee and churn happens,
Yep.
Onboarding, exit, new onboarding, recruiting, training,
productivity,
all
yes.
that, it's going to cost me $90,000.
It's a $90,000 expense.
Yeah.
But we don't see that on a balance sheet.
Yeah.
And so it's really hard on a P&L to look at it and be like, oh, there's that $90,000 right there. It's an unseen expense. And that's all SHRM data is a $60,000 employee costs $90,000 to replace. That's huge.
Yeah.
And so if you over a 10-year period of time put $30,000 more into that employee for financial well-being, home ownership, some of these other initiatives, and you eliminated that turn one time, times how many employees?
Yeah.
That's real money. Yeah. That adds up big in a hurry. And that's why there's a company that's got 5,500 employees that they are charging down the runway in getting this all buttoned up so that we can get it in and start it. Because, I mean, that's tens of millions of dollars to the bottom line. Yeah. That this will improve for a small investment in the employee. And that's, the more I've dug into it, the more that we've worked with it and we're talking to employers or HR benefits individuals, I knew we had something good. I just didn't realize how good until the reactions that I was getting from these individuals. So we're excited about it. We want to change as many lives as possible.
And I want people listening, whether you're an individual, a child, or adult, and or a business leader, owner, give one story of you, just one success story, just one.
Just one. Man, I've got a few of them
I know that.
really like.
Okay, then go two.
I'll tell you which. I'll just go through a couple of them, and you decide which ones you want to put in.
Okay.
So there's one 18-year-old girl, lives in Texas, makes $1,800 a month, and constantly calling mom because she's running out of money regularly. So her mom's a client. She refers me to her daughter. We set her up, and she's had everything automated for about a year. And her mom sent me the text thread a few weeks ago that her life just came to pieces in 1 week period of time. Like on Monday, she breaks her tooth. On Wednesday, her car breaks down. And her mom's gearing up for having to send her some money. And she's like, how are you going to cover all of this? And she goes, thank heavens for currents. Like, I'm good. And I have a little bit left over. And her mom, the text message that I got from her mom was just, she was so...
Warms your heart.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she was like, thank you. Here's the text. And I'm like, can I post that? Because that was super cool. An 18-year-old girl, she wants to be a dog trainer. And it was one of those things that I didn't understand really what dog trainers made until I started looking at what my father-in-law pays on his hunting dogs. Holy buckets.
Yes.
His trainer's bringing in over 7 figures a year. So this girl, she is on the path to greatness. So that was a really cool one. A young kid, just got married, about 26 years old, construction industry, makes $60,000 a year. He's like, there's no way I could save an extra $50 a month. Like, I don't know how I'm going to buy a house for my kid, for my family. I don't know how I'm going to do, any of these things. He's like, because, inflation's killing us, this, that, and the other. We set him up on currents, go through everything with him and his wife. And his wife was like, you think this is going to help us? I will support you. And he's like, we've got to do it. She's like, okay. That was a year ago. He's now sitting on $16,000 in cash because of currents. And now we're having the conversations as to what would you like to do with it? And he's seeing his future. Like, I really can buy a house. I really can take care of my family. I really can. Not because his income has increased, but because he has control over his cash flow. Yes. There was the lady I told you that, multiple 6 figures a year, can't figure out how she's ever going to retire. We go through the cash flow exercise, and day one, she starts saving $5,000 a month. I just have story after story like this. As income didn't go up. It's not about how much you make, it's about how much you keep. Yeah. And when you have the structure that allows you to keep it by default, you don't have to think about it, you don't have to do it. It just happens. It's life-changing. And now we can focus on what's important. And you have an intentional life. Yeah. So, and that I have, this is what I love, is clients referring their kids.
Yes.
This is generational change.
It is.
Generational wealth, generational opportunity. Like,
I'm going to do that because that's freaking rad.
That's when it really gets cool.
Yeah. Because you're actually doing something to change and impact millions generationally.
And that is something that is one of the reasons I'm so excited about Nest Steps, is because now the reach that we can begin to have, like, I'm walking into, instead of one-off, I'm going to be walking into a company where there's 5,500 employees, and their goal over the next 10 years is to be 20,000. even if there's 10% of those that show up, it's
Yeah.
2,000. But how many kids are a part of that? And that's just one company. I will very quickly exceed my bandwidth and what I can actually do. But I have all these people behind me that do exactly what I do at Fortress, that we just start plugging them in. And it's real change. It is not about a rate of return. Like you had said, how do you spend a rate of return? Like your portfolio is up 10% this year. What if it's down 20% next year? Are you going to put the 20% in to the portfolio now that you're retired?
Yeah.
You cannot spend rate of return. You can spend cash flow. And that's what we want to create, is tax advantage cash flow assets that get you out of the rat race and create that financial freedom.
And not anyone, people listening today that need this for their family, need this for the kids, or need this for their employees, how do they get a hold of you?
Email or shoot me a text.
What is the phone number? What's your email?
Email is brad@fwaadvisors.com. And my phone number is 801-580-8765.
Awesome. And Fortress is the GA firm that you're with?
Yeah, that's the firm that I'm with. Right now I'm the lone guy in Utah. It's out of Texas. I met John Baker over 20 years ago in Maui.
Okay.
And the dude is a stud. Like he cares so much about the clients that we work with. And, you get to know people when things are good, when things are bad, when things go sideways, when things go. And over that 20-year period of time, I've seen enough. My father-in-law has worked with him as well, that you get the same John. And it's about taking care of the clients. It's about doing what is right on things. And so, yeah, it's an amazing firm.
I just want to say thanks from me. Thanks from Give Us It podcast. Thanks for being out here on this beautiful day golfing, and appreciate it very much.
Oh, I appreciate the opportunity to have been on this. Truly, like this, I'm very grateful for the opportunity to share it.
Awesome. And guys, this is Give Us It podcast, where we're out on the golf course, season 4. Can't wait to have you watch this episode and others coming out. Thanks, guys.